Oh, hi. I've gotten a bunch of questions about why I need an iPad mini, and a Kindle. And I was like, that's a really good question. Why do I need all three? So it made me really think about why I have them and how I use them. And if it's helpful, I thought I'd share. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my big iPad. And the way that I think about my iPad is almost exactly in the same way that I think about my laptop. Like if I need to do something for work and I'm not, right in front of my laptop, this is what I would prefer to do it on. I have access to all my work environments, my email, all the stuff that's in OneDrive or, in the cloud. So I could really do my job just off of this iPad. The one thing that I wish Apple would figure out is the camera situation. So I spend the majority of my day on Teams calls, and my video's on for 99% of those meetings. And the iPad camera, the iPad camera is over here on the left. And when you join a Teams call, it just looks crazy. So if Apple could move the camera into the center for those of us that work this way, this would be all that I need. I wouldn't need my laptop. This would actually serve the purpose of my laptop. So that's how I think about my big iPad. The other thing that I do use this for is playing any games that before I might have played on my phone. These old eyes can't play games on phones anymore. So they're life size on the iPad. So that's helpful. Also, I like those little coloring apps. It's one of the things I do to de-stress sometimes. And it's awesome to do that on this big screen. Okay, so now onto the iPad mini. I primarily use this for two things. One is for my digital planner. The other one is for taking notes during meetings. This to me is just the perfect size for that. It just sits on my desk. I can pop open GoodNotes, type in notes during a meeting, access my digital planner. This guy is light. The big iPad, especially with that case, is kind of heavy. So this is light. This also fits in my house purse and my plain purse, where the bigger iPad doesn't. So it's with me all the time. It can do all of the things that my big iPad can do. I tried to get a case that had the keyboard, and the keys were just too small. It was typing like that. It just didn't work for me. So everything I do on this is, I would say 90% handwriting, and then you can, of course, type on the screen. I get a lot of questions about this case. I'll actually link it below, and it's in my showcase because this came from the TikTok shop. I just talked about this the other day, but I love this case for two reasons. One is because on my big, let me get my big iPad. On my big iPad case, the pencil just sort of sits on the top. On this case, it's got this flap that sort of locks it in. So because I do take this everywhere, it holds the pen in place, which is great. The other thing is that this detaches from the case. It's just magnetic. And so if I don't want the case and want it to be even lighter, which this hardly weighs anything, sometimes it's just easier to hold like this. I do really, really like this case. This is also much easier to use on an airplane because it's smaller. So I will download shows from Netflix or whatever and watch them on this, and it just sits nicely on the tray table. And for me, this is awesome for traveling. If the camera was here and if there was a better keyboard situation, maybe this could be all that I could travel with. But this is primarily, like I said, for note taking and for my planner. Okay, lastly, let's move on to my Kindle. Yes, you can get the Kindle app on your iPad. Yes, if you're trying to cut down on what you travel with, you definitely don't need this. I'm going to tell you why I like this. With the Kindle, all you can do is read on it. There's no notifications, there's no distractions, there's no pop-ups. And yes, I know you can do the focus settings on the iPads and silence all of that, but it's still right there. So if I wanted to go check and see if I had a text or check if I had any emails, I can do that. When I have my Kindle, I can't. It's just for reading. The other thing is I think the experience of reading on the Kindle is a little better on my eyes. I think the way that it looks, especially, so let me back up. if I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't go back to sleep, I have a rule that I will not look at my phone unless it's after 5 a.m. Sadly, I usually wake up before 5 a.m. And if I can't go back to sleep, I read is what I do. Sometimes it puts me back to sleep. Sometimes I just read. And so reading in the dark, the way that you can customize the way that the Kindle looks in the dark, for me, is just better than what you can do on the iPad. So for me, that's the big reason why I have a Kindle. Also, I had a version 1 of the Kindle, whatever year that was that they came out, and I've had one ever since. I've just gotten the habit of reading on it, and I don't mind having it. It's very light. I found this cute case that has this pop socket on the back that you can move around, which helps, holding it however way you want to hold it. And that's why I like the Kindle. Oh my God, I forgot my favorite thing about the Kindle. I can't believe I almost forgot to tell you this. So you can disconnect your Kindle from Wi-Fi, which I would never do with my iPad because I need it connected to the internet. But you can disconnect your Kindle from Wi-Fi. What that means is if you use Libby, if you don't know what Libby is an app that allows you to check out books from the library. And when you do that, you get them for 2 weeks. And then just like the library, you have to return the book. If you get a book from Libby and you disconnect it from the internet, they can't take it back in 2 weeks. Don't tell anybody I told you that, because just keep it to yourself. But, what I'll do sometimes is I'll load up my Kindle with books from the library, disconnect it from the internet, and then I can keep them for longer. So that should have been the first thing that I mentioned about why I love the Kindle. So for those of you that have asked, why do I have all 3? Thank you for the question, because it made me really think about it. Like, why do I have 3? But I think I have, legitimate reasons why. And I think that's it. Okay, bye.